All right, hey guys, it is Umbra, and I guess people have asked for me to talk about the stuff that's going on global, and I've stayed quiet about it basically for a little while because up until now, I really wasn't super aware of what was going on. I knew that basically from some of the people in my streams and chats and YouTube comments that something was going on global to do with a bunch of lapis that people have basically been able to get, and that it was there was a big, bunch of people that were angry about it, but I have refrained from making a comment because I've been a little bit busy. Obviously, one of the main things of this channel I like to do is to provide JP news and JP impressions and everything like that. And normally, if there's something like this going on in global, I don't want to get too terribly involved, too terribly much. So, before I go any further, I just want to say, hey, I put out a bunch of videos about lots of stuff going on JP, a lot of exciting stuff, more positive than some of my other videos. So please check those out, support the channel, appreciate all the help I can get with just giving me some support for doing this. So I appreciate everybody who does that. Thank you so much. Now, basically, I spent a little bit of today reading up, and I'm going to break this down into 4 categories, possibly 5 now, because as it turns out, I think there is a official response from the devs. But basically, I'm going to break it down into my understanding of the situation, what I think about this means for the actual game, what I think the response should be, and then I guess, well, you know what, we'll just break it down into 4 then and talk about the response that actually happened, because apparently that info is here. So, starting with what has been going on, obviously there's a lot of people angry about this, and a lot of people that have been posting on Reddits, Discords, and everything about everything that is going on. So my understanding is basically that Global had some kind of offer where people could buy lapis at a really good price, or some kind of, some kind of deal sort of thing, like spend some money, get some lapis in game. And apparently there was an exploit. There was a way that people could abuse this system to get a ton of resources on the account. I've seen screenshots of people, claiming 100,000 lapis at a time, which is, as a JP player, absolutely insane. We've never seen anything remotely like that on JP. Global usually has better deals on lapis a lot of the time because of in-game advertisements, kind of bump up and give another revenue source for the devs. But here, on JP, for the most part, the price is the price, and there really aren't too many offers that ever really come anywhere near close to this. But effectively, this was a way for people to just, rank 8 players could have hundreds of thousands of lapis and still be at rank 8, whereas normally that would push a player's, rank up further. And yeah, that's my understanding of essentially what happened. It was some kind of error or mistake, an exploit that was used, and people basically got a shitload of resources, and for them it was awesome. And for the people who missed the window, even though it was an unintended window, people who missed that were feeling rightfully quite angry and upset. So I don't think there's too much else to say about that, so I want to talk about what I think this means. First off, this is just really sloppy on the part of Gumi and the devs. It's not even an angry thing, although from a JP side, it would be quite angry. But it's just really sloppy from the devs that these kind of mistakes keep happening. I know that humans make errors and whatnot, but this is a pretty colossal screw up. And it's in a part of the game where normally we don't see many, or if any, screw ups, because monetization is way more heavily looked at than almost every other quality of aspect of the game, because like money is important. They are a business. They do need to make money. But it really is just like astounding that this got by QA. And I don't know if this was like internal, if something happened, or there was something going on behind the scenes. But needless to say, it's kind of shocking that this made it through. And in terms of just how unfair this is, people who are angry about this, like who missed the opportunity to get it, or just from a sense that this is bullshit, this was an exploit, this never should have, like these people should not keep their resources, are quite right. People who do spend money and have had to pay over the long run at the more standardized rate and everything for this game for buying Lapis, yeah, it is incredibly unfair that someone would be able to stack up way more Lapis than the rest of us, and therefore would be able to effectively like max everything out at a much easier degree. You'd have accounts that it goes way beyond just the idea of like consumer spending and like fairness versus the people who have been spending up until now to keep the game up, going kind of, and the people who haven't kind of thing. Like, it's not even that sort of thing. It's just in terms of game balance and like how lopsided it would be for these accounts to all of a sudden get nothing. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid for a gacha player to be like, I have pride in my account of everything I built, because it's like, I mean, you don't actually own anything, right? It's all digital that is, you can have your rights taken away at theoretically any time. But it is true. Like, players who have played the game for 3 years kind of thing, or longer on the case of JP side players. I mean, if this happened on JP, I would be absolutely angry about it too if there was no good response. Because it does throw a lot of imbalance. Like, it's hackers kind of. Maybe they use their credit cards more than people who have just like hacked accounts kind of thing, but it's just really, really not good. It's not good in terms of like anybody spending on the game in the future, because it's just like, well, no matter what, if they let people keep those resources, which again is the response that we're coming up to sort of thing, it would just sour the experience for everybody. And I do think that this game is far too expensive and should probably look to decreasing the cost of resources in this game to potentially, make it more palatable for people to spend, especially because like inflation is going crazy up in the real world. Like, this is a Wotv video, but real world issues affect players, and as inflation goes up, people won't be able to spend as much, and it puts the game's revenue into jeopardy. Because if you're like honestly going to stop eating so that you can spend more on a gacha, where literally like tomorrow, like for instance with Blizzard, not even going to say the H word here, I'm going to say the World of Warcraft, like Chinese players like have just had their accounts snapped like Thanos into dust kind of thing because of NetEase and just the breaking down of that thing. It's the same thing with this. Like, is tomorrow Square Enix could decide that they're no longer going to partner with Gumi because the contracts came up, and that they're just not going to renew it. And if that's the case, well, then all the Wotv and FFB accounts are just, again, gone like absolutely nothing. It's really important that, I guess, circling back around, it's really important that Gumi handles this in a very like professional and I think serious manner, because when it comes right down to it, it's not about, like, here's the thing. Players who didn't take advantage of this, who didn't do the exploit, they really lose nothing off of any of this. The only people who are really going to be the ones who are complaining about this and crying bullshit if it's taken away from them are the people who basically exploited it kind of thing. Like, absolutely, the people who complain the loudest are the ones who are directly affected, but they're the ones who exploited the system in the first place. And honestly, they don't have any legs to stand on in this battle at all. Which I guess brings to the solution of what I think should happen. Is that, honestly, they should just take all the lapis away, re-roll those accounts, or just get rid of those accounts. And again, terms of service, read it. Basically, we don't really have much of any rights. There are some protections that exist in gacha, because gacha is, a bigger thing in Japan. And so therefore, like, there are rules that exist here. Like, once a character comes out in that gacha, the update is in the game. They can't directly nerf a character, because otherwise, like, it would really set a bad precedent. But gacha in general, like, is very, very, like, it is something that people do take seriously, because, it's a game, it's a constantly updated game. And if there isn't any kind of integrity there, if you're not, like, even if it was a financial bump, like, they should just absolutely just look at it as refunding the money, suspending those, like, re-rolling those accounts back to where they were before. That is, whether that takes time or effort on the part of them is a too fucking bad for me. The other thing here is that Gumi are the ones at fault, or the company they work with. It's their fault. It's not necessarily the consumers. So I want to be careful about how much they should nail certain accounts, because obviously if it was like a longtime player who's been spending on the game for many, many years sort of thing, like, just flat banning that kind of account isn't really a good solution either, I don't think. So it has to be a really delicate solution, but I think this is what needs to happen. All of that ill-gotten lapis needs to be completely gotten rid of, and refund people their money kind of thing. And if they want to get angry about it, again, read terms of service. You don't really have much of a horse in this race sort of thing. And that's that kind of thing. And be glad that, that's as much as you ended up getting. As for everybody else, I mean, Gumi should definitely put the work in to do something for the community as well, because this shit really shouldn't happen. There's lots and lots of cuts of jobs everywhere, and that's not necessarily what I'm saying is happening, but they really need to do something positive for the community, because this just looks bad. It looks bad to everyone involved. It's not necessarily the fault of the developers either, or the executives, but like, here's the thing, like, do some, like, smoothing over with the community. Do something like, it really wouldn't cost them that much to give a UR ticket, or hell, even just give everybody on global a 4,000 lapis gift of just being like, sorry, we screwed this up. It was our fault. We realized that people would want to take care of that, or take advantage of something like that, because obviously it's beneficial to the players. But it's our mistake. We can't do that. Like, just be honest about the fact that it would fuck up the game's currency forever. It would vastly distort the power schemes between players as well. And, to some extent, well, oh boy, everybody can be a whale sort of thing. I don't know if that's really the kind of thing that we want to happen either. So, yeah, my suggestion is basically this, to sum up, is being like, roll back the accounts that do have it, take into account whether or not it was a long-term player. Even if they abused it, I think it's not necessarily the best idea, because it was effectively kind of a screw up on your part, and you kind of need to be good to the player base that is still here, because you might be running a little low on cuts eventually. But also, just do something for everybody. Just give everybody, and don't cheap out on this. 4,000 lapis is nothing. It's a fake currency that you guys can literally print, and 4,000 given everything that's coming up is absolutely nothing anyway. So just do something really good for the community, and I would never want to hear from the devs being, or the game director being like, we can't do that. If the game's margins are that bad, something is horribly wrong. All right. Now, this is something that I've just found on Reddit, so I'm going to take it as this being, but I assume that it is. I'll just do a cursory check on my other screen here to make sure. Okay. So, preface. We would like to offer our sincerest apologies for the offer wall bug that occurred and any unease this issue caused. We endeavor to prevent such issues from occurring going forward and are committed to providing a fair playing environment for all players. Current progress. We are currently investigating the cause of this issue as well as working to restore offer wall. We apologize for this time it will take to resolve this issue. Response going forward. The exploitation of bugs in order to gain an unfair advantage is considered misconduct, prohibited by terms of use from the standpoint of fairness. If fraudulent activity is detected, the accounts offending players will be suspended based on terms of use. Therefore, we ask that you please comply with the terms of use. Players will be notified once our response team has decided, so we ask for your patience until then. Final words. We apologize for the delay of this announcement. In addition, we would like to thank all of the players who reported this issue via inquiry tickets. We will continue to strive to provide a service that all players can enjoy with a peace of mind. Thank you for your continued support of Wotv, the Wotv operations. Which I think is a generally good response from them. I think that it's, very professional. I think that it lays out basically what's going to happen. And I think that I generally just think that it is pretty fun. So here's the thing. They are absolutely well within their rights to do this kind of thing. It is in the terms of use. And I mean, you can take them. If somebody was really angry about this, I guess they could fight them in court, but you really don't have much in the way of consumer rights in most gotchas. So that's what you signed up for, and sucks, right? But in terms of the response of if fraudulent activity is detected, the accounts of offending players will be suspended based on the terms of use. I think that they should maybe be a little bit careful with this because, again, not all accounts are equal in this debate. Some people are just players looking for a good deal, and you guys are the ones who screwed this up. So Gumi is definitely to blame mostly for this because they really need to make sure that what they are putting out there is properly QA'd and properly checked to make sure that it is right. And they are right to do this on the grounds of making sure that the game is fair and balanced, in my opinion. And the account banning, I mean, hopefully it doesn't affect too many long-term players, but I guess we'll have to see. But I think that the one thing that's really missing here is they should just do something nice for the community, because this just looks bad. This isn't really that good, and if they were to throw out 4,000 or 5,000 lapis, really wouldn't be that much of a dent in what they're planning on doing for the future. I've seen it. There's a lot of 90 cost VCs in the future. There's a lot of 100 cost units, a lot of limited stuff as well. 5,000 lapis is a drop in the bucket, especially with the reincarnation system. So do something nice. So hopefully that ends this kind of debacle for the most part. Hopefully they will do something really nice for the community, because I think that they definitely should. It really doesn't cost them anything to do this. And last but not least, I hope that, again, people who, there are going to be some players who are affected, maybe slightly feel that it is, you know, unfair, because some people are like long-term players and have been supporting the game and paying money the entire time. So hopefully they'll be able to talk with the Wotv development team and work out something. I really think that Gumi needs to put in the work though, because at the end of the day, this is kind of their screw up, and they need to definitely. So anyway, but yeah, I'm really glad that they are getting rid of those accounts, because if I was on JP and they just let this kind of thing fly, I would probably quit, because it's incredibly unfair to people who have been spending and supporting the game. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and please give my other videos a like and subscribe. No, just give some views, because it helps me out. Thanks.